So today I'll be reading a book. It's actually not a book, it's the Employee Handbook of New Work Habits for a Radical Changing World, which has 13 ground rules for job success in the information age. Now, the interesting fact about this book or the handbook is it starts with a very good quote, which is like, during the early 1900s, 85% of our workers were working in agriculture. Now, agriculture involves less than 3% of the workforce. In 1950s, 73% of US employees worked in production or manufacturing. Now less than 15% do. Which means the world is changing and the world is right now in information age. So forget your old ways of working. This is a new, radical, changing world. So you need to have new work habits for job success. The Department of Labor estimates that by the year 2000, at least 44% of all workers will be in data services, which we have been seeing right now. For example, gathering, processing, retrieving, or analyzing information. For your information, this book was written a long time ago, and it holds very true right now. Careers come and go. This is my favorite quote from this book. Careers come and go. Job change. This is nothing new. It's just happening for faster than ever before. Right now, we are in information age, and we have to be faster than anybody. Forget about conventional ways of working. Now, you're involved in something big. The shift to an entirely new economy, a new age, a vastly different approach in the way of organizations operate. Work is going global. Stop being in your small area. Work is going global. The world is going global. We are entering the information age, and we are right now in information age. The economy is shifting more and more towards services and toward knowledge work. Before long, top management absolutely won't be able to run things the old way, even if it desperately wants to. New technologies, especially computers and telecommunications, have already created intense worldwide competition for business. Soon, competitions for your very own job could come from practically anywhere on earth. That is very true right now. Careers have already quit working like they used to. That's not really anybody's fault. But employees and organizations are very much at fault if they don't change in order to adapt. It does us no good who's ever to complain or be bitter about what's happening. In fact, such behavior can only do us harm. We waste precious energy if we resist. We get angry or give into grief over all that's being lost. We jeopardize our future if we cling to old conceptions and assumptions and expectations about how careers should operate. Now, frankly, the world doesn't care about our opinions or our feelings. The world rewards only those of us who catch on what's happening, who invest in our energy in finding and seizing the opportunities brought by the change. The world, frankly, doesn't give a shit about your feelings, your skills, whatever. If you can care about, the world only rewards only those who catch what is happening right now. What is happening right now? AI. What's happening right now? Blockchain. What is happening right now? Efficient government. Everything is changing, and everything will always continuously change, and change always comes bearing gift. If you are ready to change, you will be bearing gifts from the world. Considering the scope and speed of change these days, there will be precious gifts, many priceless opportunities for those of us who play by the new rules, positions ourselves right, and take personal responsibility for our future. If you're thinking of being into your conventional work ethics, if you're planning to be in agriculture, if you're still planning to do that old copywriting stuff, everything is changing right now. So you have to meet the challenge and follow these 13 guidelines for managing your job during this radical change. Now, this book has a lot of values to give. I'll start with the first chapter, which says become a quick changing artist. You have to be a very you have to be a fast-paced changing artist, because you are the artist, and whatever you do is you create your art. Don't think it as a job. It is your art. It's your efforts to this radical changing workplace. Before I do, I would like to give you a few more quotes from this book, which is, as recently as the 1960s, the almost one half of all workers in the industrialized countries were involved in making or helping to make things. By the year 2000s, however, no developed country will have more than 1/6 or 1/8 of its workforce in the traditional roles of making and moving goods. Now, already an estimated 2/3 of US employees work in the services sector that we can see right now. And the knowledge is becoming our most important product. And right now, more than knowledge, the application of available knowledge is becoming the most important product. This calls for different organizations as well as different kind of workers. To people who are joining right now, I'm reading this book and I'm sharing my insights from New World Work Habits for a Radically Changing World. If you are into this radical changing world, which is everybody, you need to be radically very fast to adopt and become a quick change artist. Now, taking care of your career these days means managing perpetual motion. Your organization will keep reshaping itself, shifting and flexing to fit a rapidly changing world. That's the only way I can hope to survive in this fiercely competitive environment. Look for it to restructure, outsource, downsize, subcontract, and form new alliances. You can also expect flexible ways of working. Duties will be constantly realigned. Short-lived assignments will be common. Maybe you'll work on a contract basis or spend time on several projects. Maybe you'll work on a contract basis or spend time on several project teams. You might even end up working for more than one employer at a time. You won't trust it. People who are looking at this live right now, who are looking to understand that they have been working in a very small area where the work is going global. And right now, I've been a global citizen. And honestly, if you ask me how many employees are working, I used to work for 3 to 4 employees at a moment. In a week, I used to do 4 jobs, 3 jobs. Right now, I'm working for like total 3 employers. If you're working just for only single employer, you need to reshift your work way. T-shirt pair, t-shirt Angrez. Guys, if you see, I always wear my Lux Cozy because, always wear your luck and go everywhere. Apna luck pehen ke chalo. This is my motto. That's why it's been minus 13 right now in Canada, but I can wear my Lux Cozy because I'm inside. Everything is controlled. So anyways, coming back to our first chapter, which is become a quick artist. You'll probably have a constantly new set of co-workers, more new bosses, and even new careers. If you are stuck with only just one employer, you need to rethink because the world is radically changing faster and you have to gain up the speed. You're not going to like some of these. Chances are nobody will like it all, but that's neither here nor there. Question is, will you get with the program anyhow? You need to know the resistance to change is almost always a dead-end street. The career opportunities come when you align immediately with new organizational needs and realities. When you're light on your feet, when you show high capacity for adjustment, organizations want people who adapt fast, not those who resist or psychologically unplug. If you're unplugging psychologically, if you're not adapting too fast, organizations don't like it anyways. But anyways, let's move ahead and let's see. Granted, change can be painful when it damages careers, emotions such as grief, anger, depression, and come naturally, making it hard for people to buy in and be productive. I don't understand how people have time for grief, anger, and depression, and all bullshit terminologies like that. If you're not hustling enough, if you're not working enough, if you're not focused, you have so much time to be sad and for angriness, for grief, and for depression, bro. If you don't have enough time, these things you're not even aware about it. But anyways, coming back to our book, which is, but being a quick change artist can build your reputation, while resisting change can ruin it. Mobility, not mourning, makes you a valuable member of a group. It's all about valuable and mobility. If you're not mobile, if you're not adaptable to the change, you'll be stuck to that your old way of working in this rapidly changing radical world. So that now, shoot for rapid recovery, instant alignment, take personal responsibility for adapting to change, just like you would if you accepted a new job with a new employer. If you come and if you see on my board, on my 2025 goal board, you'll see that I have written a very good quote which says, I'll turn off my camera and I'll show you. It's very important right now, because your ability to make any greater income in today's market is not a matter of chance, but it's a matter of choice. And the choices you make each week decide your future and not any other factor. This should be your motto for 2025. If you're not adaptable to make changes in this rapidly changing world, if you're not making choices that is leading towards your greater income to this market, if you're just merely dependent on the matter of chance, then my friend, it's time to understand that you won't make it. You have to make choices each week in such a way that you have to decide your future, and the matter of choices that you make each week can decide your future and not a matter of chance. But anyways, coming back to the book, oh my god, Poonam Investment Advertisement has a very beautiful quote, and I'll say, you think you understand the situation, but what you don't understand is the situation just changed. The situation just changed. You think you understand the situation, but you don't understand that the situation just changed, because this is a rapidly changing world. You think, oh, if I have this strategy, I have been in this situation, I applied this strategy, and I will use that same strategy in different situation, different similar situation to the previous situation, it won't work, because Poonam Investment Advertisement said it very perfectly. You think you understand the situation, but what you don't understand is that the situation just changed. The situation is always changing. It is changing rapidly. If you apply the same strategies, it won't work, because the situation just changed. The time is constantly moving. Anyways, coming back to our track, there's one more quote. A nice data analytics is, in 1991, for the first time ever, companies spent more money on computing and communications gear than the combined money spent on industrial, mining, and farm and construction equipments. Companies are spending more money on computing. You can see people are spending more money on computing and communication. I myself, I have studied 5G, I have studied computing, and trust me, people are not worried about industrial or farming technologies or equipments, construction equipments. Right now, what companies are doing they are spending money more on computing and communication, because computing and communication is the future. You are seeing quantum computing is right now just all over the place. You are seeing AI has always geared up to take up a huge leap in the information age, and communication is the next step, where you'll see that the whole process of quantum computing, AI communication by itself will take it so further. Right now we don't have enough infrastructure for communication. When everything gears up to 5G advanced, the thing you're seeing right now in 5G is just 4G LTE advanced. Actual 5G has low latency, has tremendous speed of transferring the data. Right now what's happening, you are seeing that AI is trying to compute on cloud, and it takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whether 15 minutes to come back the results. But when the communication gears up, when companies heavily invest in communication infrastructure, this AI, which is computing on cloud servers, the reason there's a delay is because of the communication channels. When it gears up, when 5G MMT, sorry, I don't actually remember the name, but it's 5G MMT. It's a micrometer technology. When it comes in effect, right now it's only in China, everything changes. Literally everything. The area of AI in computing, only communications and the faster speed of communication, 0 millisecond latency would gear it up. Coming back to the book, the spending pattern often offers hard proof that we have entered a new era. The industrial age has given way to the information age. Definitely, the information age was bound to happen. Next thing, what is going to happen after information age is the age of communication. You won't understand. Right now we are not able to communicate. If you do a simple WhatsApp call, if you say hello right now, it's gonna have a delay. If you're talking to the other person, it will have a few second delay. It's because of the technologically we are not technologically advanced right now, because that's why we are having delays and lags and latency. But as the industrial age has moved forwards towards information age, the next thing it's gonna happen is towards communication age. Next thing what we're gonna do is read about commit fully to your job. If you're not committing fully to your job, guys, what are you doing? Expect your employer to expect more from you. The reason? The marketplace is demanding far more these days from the organization itself. I'll read it again because it's the most important point. It's the start of the paragraph. It's expect your employer to expect more from you. If you're thinking that your employer is not expecting more enough from you, then you are definitely wrong. Expect your employer to expect more from you. The reason? The marketplace is demanding far more these days from the organization itself. Everybody needs more. I'm gonna change my my Instagram handle from Monkey King again to Monkey Mange More, because this monkey, the kind of monkey I am, the kind of monkey you guys are, you always want more. So expect your employer to expect more from you. The reason? The marketplace is demanding far more these days from organization itself. Now, clients and customers want much better quality than before. They expect top-notch service too. They'll take their business to their competitors. Speed is so essential because people have gotten used to instant everything. Frankly, the only way your organization can even hope to compete is to employ high performance people. I was reading this book about high performing habits. It was a really good book. I think you should also read. If you are a high performance performer, then that's the reason why this book is always focusing on that. The only way your organization can even hope to compete is to employ high performance people. In times past, the most common solution to problems was just to hire more employees. You would see people the companies are laying off their employees. They are laying off people more and more, because in past times, the most common solution to this problem was just hire more people. Go hire 5 more people. The reason people are not getting jobs right now because companies are not interested in bullshit people who are not high performer. To be on the edge, I would say be that person who is high performing, because the employer will expect more from you. The reason, the marketplace is demanding far more these days from the organization itself. Okay, in past times, as I told you, in past time, most common solution to problem was to hire more employees, spend more money, but companies can't afford that approach anymore because organization have changed. The world is changing rapidly, and the marketplace is demanding more these days, and expect the employer to expect more from you. So instead of simply throwing more people at problems, organization now throw fewer. They have to do more, faster, and better with less. This calls for highly committed people. If you're not highly committed, if you're not a high performer, expect that layoff. Expect that you are gonna get into that performance review and you're gonna be screwed over, and it's your final chance to be that high performer people, because companies are gonna lay you off. Just think about it. People are gonna get laid off because they have to do more, faster, and better with less. The companies want this kind of people who could do more, faster, better with less. Now, this calls for highly committed people. Be a highly committed people to your work. Be that artist. Be that artist who cares about his art. If you think you're an employee, if you think you're doing a job, forget it. You are an artist and you have to respect and commit to your art, which is your job right now. If you find you cannot recommit rapidly when the company changes, you probably should quit or they will fire you. Get out there. Don't waste your energy resisting change, and don't kill precious time sitting on the fence. Either buy in or be on your way, because that's the best for both of you and your employer. Stop wasting time, your time and the company's time, because if you cannot recommit to rapidly changing world, then definitely you should either quit or they will fire you. This is not the same as asking that be loyal or to the organization. I'm not saying that. The book is not saying that. The book is not asking you to be loyal to the organization. That would probably strike you as rather hypocritical anyhow, because you have and we have all seen that the world puts hard limits on how loyal an employer can be in return. Employers are not loyal. If you think that the company loves you, the company will love you until you love your job and you are a high performer. So don't be loyal, because that would probably strike you as rather hypocritical right now, because we have all seen that the world puts hard limits on how loyal an employer can be in return. But urging you to have high job commitment actually serves your best interest, even as it benefits the company. Strong job commitment makes work far more satisfying. It's therapeutic too, an excellent antidote for stress and a fine cure for the pain of change. It also empowers you, bringing out your very best potentials and making you more valuable employee. Now, bottom line is, commitment is a gift. You should give it to yourself. You think, I'll be committed to my employer, I'll be committed to my company, I'll be loyal to my company. This is very hypocritical, and the bottom line of all this discussion is the crux of this whole reading is, commitment is a gift. You should only give it to yourself. If you are committed to yourself, if you're committed to be a high performer, if you're committed of doing things in this rapidly changing world, if you're adapted to change, the only commitment will gift you is, the commitment is a gift that you should be Commitment is a gift. You should give it to yourself. Give commitment to yourself. It's a gift for yourself, not for anybody else. Commit to yourself, commit to your life, commit to your betterness, and commit to your personal growth. Any other commitment is pretty much not in the priority right now. There are putting in a nickel, but they want a dollar song. That's a song title. Well, your employee is just putting a nickel on you. They are just throwing pennies at you, and they want a dollar song. So just be committed to your personal growth, your long continuous learnings. That's everything you need right now. You're in Paris and you decide to use your American Express card. By the way, if you see, I have got myself an American Express Gold card, and I'm very proud of it because it just creates a whole aura of Sigma around me. If you don't have American Express Gold card or Platinum card, right now I'm not at that Platinum level, but if you have that Gold American Express card, it creates a vibe around you. It creates that you are committed to yourself, you're committed to your personal growth, and you're committed to your own image of being a high performer. People who are high performer, they only use cards like American Express, Gold, Platinum, and the black card are on the toppest tier. Anyways, you are in Paris. Just imagine you are in Paris and you decide to use your American Express card. Getting credit approval involves a 46,000-mile journey over phones and computers. The job can be completed in 5 seconds. That's been said by Peter Large, the Micro Revolution Revisited author. Anyways, right now in this rapidly, radically changing world, you have to speed up. Examine the corporate body count over the last dozen years or so. What you'll find is that slow kills company. If you are slow, it kills the company. If you are slow in your life, it kills you. So examine the corporate body count over the last dozen years or so. What you'll find is that slow kills company. And that, of course, means the death of many careers. If you're slow, it kills the company. Don't be that slow guy. To survive, certainly, to gain any competitive advantage, your organization must travel light and cover ground quicker. That drives the decision to decentralized, delegate decision-making power. That's why it's important to erase boundaries between different parts of the organizations, so work flows seamlessly and swiftly. Organizations really don't have much choice. They must eliminate excess baggage. If you are an excess baggage to that company, be ready to get eliminated. Be ready to be thrown out. Abandoned bureaucratic practices shrink dramatically and the time it takes to get things done. So many of the changes you see going on these days are designed to help organizations pick up speed. These are not casual moves or random acts dreamed up by bored and hatless top executives. When you're witnessing a raw survival instincts at work, organization must accelerate or they will die. We live in an impatient world with fierce competition and fleeting opportunities. Organizations that are lean, agile, and quick to respond clearly have that edge. So if you're not using words like lean, agile, and quick to respond in your resume, in your day-to-day life, if you're not agile, I don't want to talk to you. If you're not lean and quick to change, don't talk to me, guys. So the next thing is we leave, but organization can't go fast if their employees go slow. So you need to operate with a strong sense of urgency. Accelerate in all aspects of your work, even if it means living with a few more ragged edges. Emphasize action. Don't bog down in endless preparation, trying to get things perfect before you make a move. Sure, high quality is crucial, but it must come quickly. You can't sacrifice speed. Learn to fail fast, fix it, and race on. Seek radical breakthroughs quantum leaps rather than relying solely on incremental step-by-step improvements. Now, take no part whatsoever in resistance to change. If the organization decide to turn on dime, follow it like a trailer. Corner quickly, turn for turn. The organizations can't wait for employees to go through some slow adjustment process. It can't afford to gear down while people decide whether or not they are going to get on board. Consider this. New hires join up ready and willing to help drive an organization in new directions. They are eager to prove themselves and make their mark. You would be the same way if you left your present job and hired on a different outfit. So why not take that approach right where you are, that is now? Instead of being a drag on a change initiative, one of the resistors who causes delay develop a reputation as one who pushes the change process along. Be that person who develops a reputation as one who pushes the change process along. Be that person who is part of the change and not the part of the slow nature of your organization. Be that person who pushes the change process along. Make yourself more valuable. Help create a high velocity operations. Now, Stephen Wright rightly said, I have a microwave fireplace. You can lay down in front of the fire all night in 8 minutes. That's crazy. I have never seen a microwave fireplace. Anyways, few more data from this book, which is since 1983, the US work world has added 2,500,000 computers. The number of cellular telephone subscribers have jumped from 0 in 1983 to 1,600,000 by the end of 1993. Now, close to 1,900,000 people now carry pages, and almost 1,200 million messages were left in voicemail boxes in 1993 alone. Which, what do you think? It's always pushing. The communication is always pushing there as people try to come in this world again and again. People who take birth, they need communication, they need computing, they need this infrastructure. Now, since 1987, homes and offices have added 100,000 fax machine, while email addresses have been increased over 2,600,000. Communication technology is radically changing the speed, the direction, and the amount of information flow, even if as it alters work roles all across organization. As a case in point, the number of secretaries is down by 521,000 just since 1987. The secretaries, the telephone operators have been lowering down because companies are pushing towards radical changes in computing and communication. Hence, communication technology is radically changing, and the speed, the direction, and the amount of information flow, and even as it alters work roles all across organization. People want communication and computing, they don't want you to pay salaries. They want to advance faster and quicker with speed and the right direction towards communication age. Now, moving forward, we have to accept ambiguity and uncertainty. Now, pinning down your job during change can be like trying to nail jello to the wall. You're faced with new expectations, shifting priorities, and different reporting relationships. Your role may be vaguely defined, and your assignments may get altered constantly. Usually, there are more questions than there are answers. People who have high need for structures simply hate this kind of situations. After a while, it even eats on employees who have high tolerance for ambiguity and uncertainty. Sooner or later, people like closure. They grow wary of having to endure open-ended issues, unanswered questions, and a fluid set of responsibility. Here's a question for you guys. If you know the meaning of this word called ambiguity and uncertainty, if you can if you can go Google and search what is meant by ambiguity or ambiguous, comment down in the comment section and I'll see if you have got the right answers. Now, people who have high need for structure simply hate this kind of situation. After a while, it even eats on employees who have high tolerance for ambiguity and uncertainty. Here's the word ambiguity and uncertainty. Sooner or later, people like closure, they grow wary of having to endure open-ended issues, unanswered questions, and a fluid set of responsibilities. As Woody Allen once said, though we live in a world with too many moving parts. So work roles will be little out of focus much of the time. Careers won't be as cut and dried as they used to be. And this is not really happening by choice. The world is forcing our hand. A rapidly changing world deals ruthlessly with organizations that don't change. If the world treats the organization ruthlessly, if they don't change, think about yourself. If you start thinking about yourself, if you take your individuality and look into yourself and organize yourself and work in such a way that an organization works, you have to adapt to the change, or the world will treat you ruthlessly and throw you out of your current scenario, what you're doing right now. So a rapidly changing world deals ruthlessly with organizations that don't change and that don't go with the flow that the world is flowing right now. And people are coming to respect that fact. For your part, you need to respect that fact that the blur of ambiguity is actually in the best interest of your career. I've not seen the comment section coming towards the meaning of ambiguity. If you know what's the meaning of ambiguity, go ahead, tell me what's the meaning for ambiguity. Now, perpetual change will be crucial if the organization is to survive in the years to come. This suggests that you should lean and learn to create role clarity for yourself. Take personal responsibilities for figuring out the top priorities, then point yourself in that direction. Don't pull back, waiting for someone else to happen along who can frame out the specifics of your duties in painstaking detail. Chase down the information you need fast. Show initiative in getting your bearings and in aligning your efforts with the organization's larger plan. If you're not aligned to your organization's larger plan, you are not part of the plan. If you're not part of the plan, you know what's going to happen? You will be ruthlessly thrown out of it. If you don't want to be, just show initiative that in getting your bearings, in aligning your efforts with the organization's larger plan. Be that piece in that organizational larger plan. Don't be a piece which is helping the organization to not form that larger plan. Be in that plan. Now, then give yourself permission to attack the job as best you understand it. Now, since you'll be going on guesswork to some extent, your ability to tolerate ambiguity and uncertainty will stand as a critical skill. So learn to loosen up. Prepare to feel your way along into the future. Be willing to wing it. Develop your ability to improvise, even reduce it to an art form, and simply accept the fact that your work life is going to be fuzzy around the edges. Indeed, trying to manage your career will reassemble E.L. Doctorow's description of how it feels when writing a book, which is, it's like driving at night in a fog. When you're writing a book, if you're doing an art form, if you're into creativity, it almost always feels like E.L. Doctorow's description of how it feels when you're writing a book or creating or being in a creative field. It feels like it's like driving at night in the fog. If you are driving at night in the fog, you know there is uncertainty, there's a chance of being hit. But what would you do if you're in a situation when you're driving in the night and suddenly it's foggy and it's night and it's dark? What will you do? Will you park your car and stop there? Will you park your car and stop there and get inside your car and be like, oh, I won't drive tonight. It's not gonna be like that. You can only see as far as your headlights, but you can make the whole trip that way. So this is how it feels when you're writing the book. It feels like it's like driving at night in the fog. You can only see as far as your headlights, but you can make the whole trip that way. You can make that whole trip. If you sit down, you're wasting your time. If you keep on driving with your headlights on, you can make the whole trip that way. The certainty, there's an interesting quote from Pogo comic strip, which says, the certainty of misery is better than misery of uncertainty. What a playful way to describe. And I love the Pogo comic strips quote, which is, the certainty of misery. If you're certain of any kind of misery, it's better than being uncertain. It's better than the misery of uncertainty. The certainty of misery is better than the misery of uncertainty. Now, here's some quote from the history, which is, less than half of the workforce in industrial world will be holding conventional full-time jobs in organizations by the beginning of the 21st century. Those full-timers or insiders will be the new minority. If you're a full-time, according to this book, it says if you are that full-timer, you are in the new minority. I'll come back to this nice quote again, which says, less than half of the workforce in industrial world will be holding conventional full-time jobs in organizations by the beginning of the 21st century. Those full-timers or insiders will be the new minority. Now, every year, more and more people will be self-employed, and it will continue as the age progresses, as this 21st century progresses. Every year, more and more and more and more people will be self-employed. If you're not an artist, if you are not taking your skills, you're not taking your whatever you're good at, if you're not mastering on it, if you're not a generalist, if you are just a person who helps in organizational workflows, if you're just a helper, my friend, you cannot be self-employed. And people, every year, more and more people will be self-employed, and that's the way how new world wants more people to be self-employed, to be individuals that are high performers. Any self-employed person is, in fact, it shows the sign that that person is a high performer. He is very serious about whatever he does. That's why he's self-employed, because he is unable to find people who are high performers, who are not as speed as him. That's why if you see in a group setting, people love to be alone working on projects, because people who are high performer, they are always alone. They are always working alone, crashing on things, killing on tasks, and moving ahead on speed. But if you want to go further, you have to have people around you. You have to have great minds around you. But if you want to be fast in this rapidly changing world, you have to go alone. You have to be self-employed. And every year, more and more people will be self-employed. And many will work temporary or part-time, because that's the way they want it. Sometimes because that's all that is available. Many will work temporary or part-time, sometimes because that's the way they want it. Sometimes because that's all that is available. That's by Charles Handy, The Age of Unreason, the author of Change, The Age of Unreason. Now coming to our next topic, which is behave like you're in business for yourself. If you don't consider yourself as an individual who is a business, if you don't introduce yourself, or if you don't take yourself, if you don't look into that perspective that you are not a person, you're not a You're not an individual. You're a whole business person. You're a business. If you don't introduce yourself and don't take accountability of whatever you do, definitely, guys, you will be stuck to that low performing category. If you'll be stuck in that full timer minority, which this book is talking about. Behave like you are in business for yourself. Your employer wants more than your body, more than just your arms and back and brain. Your employer wants you to act like an owner. Why is this? And what does it really mean? One reason why you need to think and behave like you are in business for yourself is because organizations are breaking into bits and getting flatter. There's less hierarchy, fewer layers. The more is towards small scale, decentralized business units and sort of like mini enterprises or self-contained work groups that operate more independently. Organizations are reshaping themselves in an attempt to become more entrepreneurial. They want to get closer to the customers. They want decisions to be made by the people who are closest to the information. They want to be able to move faster. The idea is that only small units are agile. Big companies, big teams are not agile. A small group of high performers is always agile and lean. I have seen that my way because I am that person who is lean and agile, ready to change, adapting to the change, and they want people, the companies want people who can make a decision and can move faster. The idea is that only small units are agile and adaptable enough to thrive in today's world of high velocity change. So now we are seeing a lot of self-directed teams, empowered employees. The management ranks are shrinking rapidly, and this means more power, information, and responsibility flow through to you. You'll need to assume that more personal responsibility for success of the entire enterprise rather than focusing narrowly within the boundaries of your old job description. To act like an owner, you need a sense of managing the whole. You need peripheral vision. Consider how you personally can help cut costs, serve the customer better, improve the productivity, and innovate. Constantly think in terms of commercial success, how you and your group can add directly to financial health of the organization. Now, this could prove to be more freedom than you prefer. For example, if you have found comfort in working for somebody else, example, having other people call the shots, supervise you, and stand accountable for problems and results, you may start to sweat. On the other hand, behaving like you're in business for yourself gives you the chance to really shine. Now, besides all this, though, thinking of yourself as self-employed is the mindset that serves you best in the years to come. Organizations simply aren't going to look out for people's careers like they did in the past. Odds are you are in your own. Much like an independent contractor, you have to build your business, uphold your reputation, and satisfy the people who pay for your work. So operate as if you are self-employed and carry personal responsibility for your own career mobility. Whether you look at it from the perspective of your employer or from the angle that you're one person show, it pays to behave like you're in business for yourself. We are all in this together. You have been listening to this quote. This quote has been so popular. We are all in this together. Sorry, my friend, I need to break this out. It's because Lily Tomlin wants to say we are all in this all alone. That's the fact. We are all in this alone. There has been more information produced in the last 30 years than during the previous 5,000. The weekday edition of the New York Times contains more information than the average person was likely to come across in a lifetime during the 17th century England. The information supply available to us doubles every 5 years. If you have heard about Moore's law and electronics, I don't know if you have heard about it, but Richard Saul Wurman from Information Anxiety, the author of Information Anxiety, states that the weekday edition of the New York Times contains more information than the average person was likely to come across in a lifetime during the 17th century England. And the information supply available to us doubles every 5 years. Coming back, stay in school. Today's world takes place no pity on the person who gets lazy about learning. Always stay in school. That's why always be committed to long-term continuous learning programs. If you're not continuously learning, you might have seen Alex Hormozi's new venture. It's all about school. SKOOOOOO. I don't know how many O. He has copied it from Google, the color structure and the logo. I don't know, but if it's true or not, but what he wants to say is stay in school. Today's world takes no pity on the person who gets lazy about learning. If you're not learning, if you're lazy about learning, the world won't take pity on you. Either you take personal responsibilities for continuing your education, or you end up without the knowledge you need to protect your career. If it doesn't take long for skills and knowledge to get outdated in a fast-changing world. Technological advances and the flood of new information make it hard to keep up with what's going on. College graduates can find even their most advanced technical skills outdated in a matter of years. Craftsmen must constantly adapt to new products and techniques, and some careers don't even get a chance to change. They simply disappear. Have you seen there were so many jobs that disappeared in a grim. There were so many jobs that will disappear now, and there are so many jobs that are disappearing right now because the world is constantly changing. If you're a craftsman, if you're a IT guy, if you're an engineer, if you're an artist, if you're anybody, if you're in any trades or occupation, if you're not changing, if your career is not adaptable to change, the career that is not adaptable to change has a chance to simply disappear. And this is not a matter of chance that you're not changing, it's the matter of choice. If you don't choose to change, then your career, your occupation will disappear. Have you thought about telephone operators? In previous times, people used to communicate through one place to another place, and in the middle there were people who were connecting lines, who were changing lines, and they were connecting two people sitting across this world, a part of this world and a part of that world, right? And there were people sitting in working as a communications operator. They were changing lines, they were plugging plugs, and they were switching switches. Even in fact, in computer age, when the computer was developed, people were hired to just change the bulbs. I don't know what the integrated ICs. It was a big bulb. They were hired to just change the bulbs, keep it running, keep the computer running. How many people are there doing that job right now? Zero. How many people there are who are going manually and connecting phone lines? Zero. So if your career, if your occupation is not adaptable to change, there's a high chance, not a high chance, it's a surety that your occupation, your career will disappear. Don't be in that career that is bound to disappear. So embrace the change, act on it, and keep changing, and be into a continuous learning legacy programs. If you're not into continuous learning, you will disappear. Anyways, we must constantly retool ourselves and become perpetual students, or we risk of becoming obsolete. Lifelong learning is the only way to remain competitive in the job market. You should invest in your own growth, development, and self-renewal. Do this way a company invests in research and development and come up with new and better products or services you can offer. Your employer may help out with this, but ultimately it's your responsibility. It's your responsibility. Your employer may help out with this, but ultimately the responsibility is yours. Your future employability, your appeal as a job candidate depends on you having a relentless drive to update credentials, acquire new skills, and stay abreast of what's happening in your field. Homework. Studying on your own. I don't know, people, I have seen a weird trend. I mean, it's a very long trend. It's been a trend for so many years. People go to tuitions. People always want people to teach them. They want always to be in such a tuition class. I don't understand what's the meaning of a tuition class. I have never been to one, and was not a strong believer of going to a tuition class because I always wanted homework, self-study, group studies. Do it as a collective or do it alone. We are all in this together or all alone. There is nothing like tuition class. Homework. Studying on your own should become a regular part of your weekly routine. Read, attend workshops and seminars. I have been started reading. I have been started attending workshops, and the biggest workshops I'm attending this year in 2025. I wanted to do it since I started in my professional journey, but due to limitations, monetary issues, I have stopped going to bigger conferences, bigger seminars because of I was into so many things, but I always made sure that I am attending seminars every month, every week, or every day. This time I'm going to Las Vegas to attend the biggest seminar on IBS. It's not irritable bowel syndrome. It's actually it's a builder show where so many people in the housing industry, in the construction industry, in the whole housing market globally, they will be there in one place. So it will be a very amazing opportunity to learn from this kind of seminars, this kind of conferences. So if you are not attending workshops and seminars, if you are not taking courses, you are not becoming that person who always likes to stay in school. Well, homework, studying on your own should be a regular part of your weekly routine. Read, attend workshops and seminars, take courses, volunteer for understudy or apprentice assignments that let you learn from experts. Accept lateral moves that will broaden you. Ask for learning opportunities and then milk them dry. It doesn't matter anymore whether you work on cars, teach, farm, or doctor people. You need specialized knowledge. You also need to know how your field or profession is changing. Delve deeper. Keep learning. Be sure to develop transferable skills. Too, as that gives portability to your career. Don't get locked into just one job or even one employer. Give yourself options. I see people who are like, hey bro, what are you doing? I am only interested in becoming a carpenter. I'm like, good for you. I will only become a musician. Good for you. I will only study engineering and nothing else. I mean, good for you, but you are limiting yourself to only one possible option. That's why you're not getting job. You're not having diverse skills. If you're not a dynamic person, if you don't have dynamic agility or ability to switch careers, roles, and options, then my friend, your career will go disappear, and you don't want to be in that kind of career that will disappear. Just imagine a lady who wanted to become a telephone operator. That was her goal to become. That was her dream, that I would be a telephone operator and I'll stay in that company forever, because that company doesn't exist anymore. That job doesn't exist anymore. That work doesn't exist anymore, because the world is rapidly changing. If you're in that rapidly radical changing world, and if you have just only one option as your career, if you're not exposed to various roles, I think you are gonna be disappeared, and I want you to be disappeared right now. Go to school, stay in school, go attend lectures, go attend seminars, take courses, ask your employer for learning opportunities, and then milk them dry. It doesn't matter anymore whether you work on cars, tech, farm, or doctor people. You need specialized knowledge. You also need to know how your field or profession is changing. If you don't know how it's changing, then probably you'll be stuck there in time. But because time is not stuck, it's always flowing. It's always flowing. If you don't flow, then you'll always be there in that time zone which was in past. You always want to move ahead, and you have to stay always in present. If you're not in present and not in future, nobody wants to be in past. You know who are in the past? People lying down in their graveyards. They are in past. But anyways, if you also need to know how your field and profession is changing. Dwell deeper. Keep learning. Be sure to develop transferable skills too, because this gives portability to your career. Don't get locked in just one job or even one employer. Give yourself options, and then a plethora of options, a sea of options. It's a huge world, and it has so much work. And if you're just being an electrical engineer or a copywriter or a designer or just a musician or whatever you're doing right now, you're just limiting yourself for endless possible options. And the best thing is, the more you know how to do and the better you do it, the more valuable you become. The better positioned you are to market yourself, and the greater you have your job security. I don't understand. People are into like, bro, I want a secure job. I want a stable income. I want to be in a place where I can be comfortable in my job. I love my job. Bro, if the job was supposed to be loved, then definitely you'll love your job forever, and you'll keep doing in that same you'll be in that same occupation, and you'll keep doing that same garbage work repetitively, and one day that job is gone because of the AI of the computing age and the information age, and you will still keep loving your job, then probably you will be always stuck in past. I don't understand why you want job security, and why do you want a stable income. Are you guys like, I don't understand what is stable. The economy is not stable. The price of Bitcoin is not stable. Things are not stable. The water is always flowing, and you want things to be stable, things to stay forever the same. But my friend, I want to give you a fact that you all should be aware of, that the world is changing, everything is changing. The only constant thing is a change. And if you are stuck in a stable, secure job, then you are not in sync with this world. So the more you know how to do it, the better you do it, the more valuable you become. The better positions you are to market yourself, the greater your job security. I mean, in this sense, it makes sense of having a job security, because you are positioned in such a way that you are a dynamic person. You have got the right skills. You have got right transferable skills, because now you're exposed to different roles. Definitely an employer would love to have you in their organization, because they will guarantee your job security. That means a proper job security, not having a job security because you have just one skill or one kind of career. That won't give you any kind of job security, and no company is committed to give you any kind of job security, my friend. This is the notion that you are having, that you will have a stable income and job security, because the world is constantly changing right now. It might happen in previous times, because as an agriculture person, you have got the right job security, because all you have to do is fetch some potatoes or go water some plants. But right now the world is changing, and you need to be adaptable to the change, because the world is becoming faster and faster every day. If you're not faster, if you are not into continuous learning, if you're not position yourself and market yourself as a dynamic individual, then I don't think you will have that so-called job security. So just forget about finishing your education and defend your career by developing a better package of knowledge and skills than the next person. Everybody is knowledgeable. The right person who is knowledgeable doesn't have the right applications to apply the knowledge. But if you're that person who has mediocre level of knowledge, but you have the right skills to apply any kind of knowledge, because you've been exposed to different kind of roles, different kind of careers, and different kind of learnings, then if you can do things differently, and if you can do things differently and do it better than the next one, then definitely you will be that person who will be having that job security. Now, Robert Burney says there are two kinds of people: who finish what they start, and so on. I didn't get what Robert Burney wanted to say. Robert Byrne, that there are two kinds of people: those who finish what they start, and so on. I didn't get it. But few quotes from the history, from the latest trend is ANIAC, commonly thought of as the first modern computer, was built in 1944. It took up more space than 18-wheeler's tractor trailer, weighed more than 17 Chevrolet Camaros, and consumed 140,000 watts of electricity. ENIAC could execute up to 5,000 basic arithmetic operations per second. One of today's popular microprocessors is the 486. Is built on a tiny piece of silicon about the size of a dime, and it weighs less than a packet of sweet and low, and use less than 2 watts of electricity, and a 486 can execute up to 400,000 instructions per second. If you think about the world, if you think about the age of computing, and I talked about there are absolute obsolete jobs that have been disappeared. If you see, everything is revolving about computing and information and communication. If you're still stuck with that kind of low level, low performing career, then definitely it's time. The cost of computing power drops roughly 30% every year, and the microchips doubling in performance power every 18 months. This is the power of Moore's law, which says that the size of the microchip, the silicon chip that you have seen in your phones, in your electronics, and everything right now, everything is electronics. So if everything has electronic, everything has a chip. And if you see your Apple MacBooks, or if you see your your iPhones or Samsungs, everything has microchips, and every year they are going slimmer and slimmer, and they are consuming less power. And as the Business Week has this quote, that I'm reading a quote from the Business Week, which says the cost of computing power drops roughly 30% every year, and the microchips are doubling in performance power every 18 months. That's the thing, man. This is called Moore's law. The chips are getting smaller and smaller. Right now, when I was in my university, I saw 5 nanometer. A nanometer is so small, it's even smaller and thinner than your hair. So that's the power of Moore's law, that the 5 nanometer chip, a microprocessor chip, can compute endless of mathematical operations. Now, hold yourself accountable for outcomes. 3 nanometer is coming this September. Very well. Prabjit is well versed with latest technology. 3 nanometer. Can you imagine 3 nanometer chips are powering this world these days? I was learning how to do 5 nanometer, how to design 5 nanometer chips. It was so hard. So I think 3 nanometer, which is like, it's gonna be even difficult these days to design. But if an engineer was only stuck on learning how to do 5 nanometer chips, then he would go obsolete in next 18 months, because now things are working on 3 nanometer. So if he specializes only in 5 nanometer, then I think it's time for him to think about change. Now, hold yourself accountable for outcomes. Organizations are insisting on new levels of accountability in their employees. Responsibility, power, and authority are being pushed down to the lowest levels. For this to work, you have to stand accountable for results. Careers simply carry more personal exposure these days, and you can get off the hook by rationalizing, I tried, I really worked hard, I did high quality work, I did my part. All these lines sound good on the surface, but they won't sell if the overall results aren't there. In these times of self-directed teams, empowered employees, and boundaryless organization, your work as an individual employee will get measured by the work group's collectively results. Holding yourself personally accountable for outcomes requires that you think broadly, consider the big picture, and look beyond your own intimidate behavior, beyond the specifics of your job description, to see if you're really doing all you should to bring about the right results. Learn to work across departmental boundaries. Avoid turf issues. Combine your efforts seamlessly with others who, though very different from you, are contributing to the same end results. Concentrating on outcomes will also keep you from falling in love with a particular methodology. Or put in another way, you are less likely to waste time, energy, and other resources on low payoff work routines if your real passion is for researching results. Our work processes are always cleanest when we design them to be solely in service of outcomes. So streamline your approach, eliminate unnecessary steps, and get rid of tasks no one can justify. The more you intent you are on achieving targeted outcomes, the less tolerant you'll be of clumsy or unnecessary work processes. Having to shoulder personal accountability for results gives you a great incentive to clean out the clutter in how the place operates. The main reason businesses concepts like re-engineering and process improvement enjoy such popularity today is because organizations are realizing how approach can interfere with outcomes. If you're still doing things in the same methodologies which your previous work colleagues used to do, then probably you're not into a part of re-engineering and process improvement processes. So that's why the main reason business concepts like re-engineering and process improvement enjoy a popularity today is because organizations are realizing how approach can interfere with different outcomes. So do your part, drive the organization directly towards the outcomes that count the most. Now, Jerry Garcia of the Grateful Dead wanted to say, somebody has to do something, and it's just incredibly pathetic that it has to be us. Somebody has to do something, and It's just incredibly pathetic that it has to be us. Let's say if you're going to a party, so you pull out some pocket change and buy a little greeting cards that plays happy birthday when it's open. After the party, someone casually tosses that card into the trash, throwing away more computer power than existed in the entire world before 1950s. The home video camera you use to take pictures of the party contains more processing power than an old IBM 360. The world machines have gave birth to the mainframe computer age. The party gift you give is a system called Saturn, made by Sega, by the game maker. It runs on a higher performance processor than the original 1976 Cray supercomputer, which in its days was accessible to only the most elite physicists. Now add value. Now when you add value, make sure you contribute more than you cost. This is I can sum up how to add value. Make sure you contribute more than you cost. This is what is called a value addition. Make sure you contribute more than you cost. If you want to add value to your organization, if you want to add value to your life, suppose your cost of living is suppose $1,500,000. Oh, sorry, $1,500 per month. If your value, if your cost of living is $1,500, make sure you utilize your personal investment or your the money you spend on yourself. For example, $1,500. Make sure that contributes more than the actual value of $1,500. That's how you're adding value to your money, to yourself. So make sure you contribute. Make sure you contribute more than you cost. Employees often mislead themselves, assuming they should get to keep their jobs if they're responsible and do good work. Some of them even have the idea that sticking around for a long time makes them worth more to the organization. When I see people or they are very happy, like, it's my 5-year anniversary of their job. They think that if I stay well for a long time, that if they're often in this misleading thoughts. They think like often they mislead themselves as assuming that they should get to keep their jobs if they're responsible and do good work. And some of them even have the idea that sticking around for a long time makes them worth more to the organization. Sure, experience may count for something, but maybe not. It depends on whether that experience really makes worth more to your employer today, or whether it has mainly lost all value because the world is changing so rapidly. The loyalty issue is a little stickier. People who have shown true devotion over the years, those who have hung in there during tough times and truly worked from their heart, should get points for that. No question. That's a real virtue. That's valuable stuff. We must realize, however, that we can use history to justify continued employment for only so long. We still need to add value. We need to add value now. And we should not confuse longevity to loyalty. Longevity and loyalty is completely two different terms, even if it comes in job retention to any conventional organization. Longevity and loyalty is two different things. The mere fact that the person has been on the payroll for years says nothing. You don't get points for just putting in your time. It's your contribution that counts, not the hours or years or the months you put in or how busy you are. We have all seen who stay busy, who even work hard without adding any real value. They make the mistake of thinking effort should earn them a paycheck. You can respect them for trying. You can respect them for trying, but you can't justify the cost of keeping them on board. Their careers are built on make believe. You'll be better off if you think in terms of being paid for performance or the value you add rather than for your tenure, good intentions, or activity level. So prove your worth to organization, make a difference, add enough value so everyone can see that something very important would be missing if you left. So that's the key. If you make difference, if you prove that you are worth the organization and add value, so everyone can see that something very important, very crucial would be missing if you left. If people are not sad, if your people are not sad and people are not happy when you leave, then definitely, trust me guys, you have been into that misleading concept of believing that putting time, putting hours, putting years to your job, which means that you were working or you were adding value. If people are not sad when you are left, then understand this very important fact that you were not contributing more than you cost. You were not adding value. So add enough value so everyone can see that something very important would be missing when you leave. The factory for the future will have only 2 employees, a man and a dog. A man will be there to feed the dog, and the dog will be there to keep the man from touching the equipment. Wow. The factory of the future will only have 2 employees, a man and a dog, not a cat. I don't know why he's so cat racist. Warren Bennis, he's the author and a distinguished professor in Business Administration University of South California. He says that the factory of future will have only 2 employees, a man and a dog, and the man will be there to feed the dog, and the dog will be there to keep the man from touching the equipment. The future factory, or the concept of future factory, doesn't want the man to work, and that's why they have hired a dog, because they don't want the man could go and touch the factory. Everything would be autonomous, everything would be automated. The first practical industrial robot was introduced during 1960s. And by 1982, there were approximately 32,000 robots being used in the United States. Today, there are over 100,000 industrial robots. And as you can see, when we are in the robotic age, Elon Musk has launched so many robots. And it dates back to 1960s when the first practical industrial robot was introduced. But right now, it's not about industrial robotics. It's more about human robotics. People want robots to be contributing in their personal day-to-day life, in their daily course. And you're reading my comments, little nice. They literally contribute in longevity instead of loyalty. And there are 2 different things, as you said. That's correct. Don't think that if you have put in 5 years to a company, that means you're loyal to a company. That just means that you were so comfortable 5 years to just milk them dry out for like 5 years, and you didn't contribute anything. Because if you get fired, or if you leave that company after 5 years, that means you have only believed in the process of longevity and not loyalty, because the company will look at us as, oh, you have been a long-term employee, not a loyal employee. If you are a loyal employee, the company won't let you go at any cost. If you ask for a raise, there's a raise. If you ask for a better position, there's a better position. But if they let you go, forget you were loyal, or forget that you were adding value. The reason they can let you go because you were misleading yourself in the whole idea and misrepresentation of loyalty and longevity. Today there are over 200,000 robots, and the first practical robot was introduced during the 1960s. Now let's take a break. No, my friend, we will complete this right now before taking any break. The break, I don't call it a break, I just call it water seconds. But the only actual break we will get is after completing this crazy whole idea of how to have new work habits for a radically changing world. Now, see yourself as a service center. Previously, we talked about see yourself or act as if you are a business. You are a self-employed person hired by a company to drive that organization. But now see yourself as a service center. Your job security depends on how valuable you are to your customers, and the better you serve them and the better you protect your career. This heightens the importance of knowing precisely who these people are. You need an in-depth feel for your target market. What do your customers do and how do you fit into the picture? What are their needs and what does it takes to please them? How can you contribute to their success? Sharpen your insights in your personal marketplace and you'll see exactly what you should do to make yourself indispensable. Keep in mind that there are both internal and external customers. You may deal directly with each type, but let's focus on whom you're supposed to serve inside the organization. It may be some of the other departments, several people in your own functional area, or just your direct supervisor. So this is a very good concept that has been pointed out, that see yourself as a service center, and there are two types of customers. If you're working in an organization, then there is a two type of customers. One customers, that's the internal customers, and there is a type of customers that is external customers. The internal customers could be your HR, your boss, your supervisor, your manager, or people from a different department. And the external customers would be the actual customers. Well, both of them are actual customers, but these are customers which company as whole serves them. So if you know what your customers do and how they fit into the picture and what they need, what their needs are, what does it takes to please them, how can you contribute to their success. If you can sharpen your insights into your personal marketplace and see exactly with what you should do to make yourself indispensable, keep in mind that there are both internal, as I said, both internal and external customers. You may deal directly with each type, but let's focus on whom you're supposed to serve inside the organization. Now, it may be some other departments, several people in your own functional area, or just a direct supervisor. Maybe you're always thought of them as co-workers or as people you work with rather than for. But make no mistake, these are your clients and customers. Too often we don't stop to think about the full implications of this. We more or less take our jobs for granted. This means we are taking our customers for granted, and that's a risky way to run a career. If you're taking your internal customers and your external customers for granted, especially in your internal customers, because the external customers is being dealt by the internal organizational team, but if you don't deal or treat your internal customers, such as the people from your own functional area or the people from different area, different department, or for example, for your own supervisor, if you don't treat them well, then it's, and if you take them for granted, that means this is a very risky way to run a career. Unless you take pains to provide the best possible service and do so at a competitive market price, that is salary, you'll find it hard to keep customers. They'll replace you with a better service provider. In essence, somebody else will steal your business. The more you will allow your service to go soft, the greater the odds you could end up in downsizing statistics. Now, or the organization might simply decide to outsource your work, to farm it out to some other firm and specializes in doing what you do. More than likely, you're actually in competition with external providers who offer the same service. Now, whether you realize it or not, question is, who will provide the best bargain, you or somebody else? Oh, so before you go, you'd like to see the posters. I will give you a quick peek of the posters. That's the posters, that's the wall, but more in the next live session and more depth, detailed. Which I deserve it for sticking around. Yes, thank you so much for sticking around, but I'll complete this whole thing, and feel free to join again. And that's everything, guys. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Now, unless you take the pains to provide the best possible service, now we have taken this thing into consideration to do so at a competitive marketplace price, you'll find it hard to keep customers. They'll replace you with a better service and provide a better bargain of that of the price that you're providing and the service you're providing to your organization. They'll replace you with a better service provider, and in a sense, somebody else will steal your business. Now, the more you allow your service to go soft, the greater the odds you could end up in some downsizing statistics, or the organization might simply decide to outsource your work, to farm it out to some other firm that specializes in doing what you do. Now, more than likely, you're actually in competition with external providers who offer the same service, whether you realize it or not. Question is, who will provide you the best bargain, you or somebody else? You must get close, intimately close to your customers. Seek regular and direct contact with them. Build a strong relationship. Deliver the highest quality services possible. Anticipate their needs and develop a reputation of responsiveness. In the final analysis, customers are your only source of job security. They laughed at Joan of Arc, but she went right ahead and built it. This is said by Gracie Allen. If you know more about Joan of Arc, let me know in the comments. Now, development of integrated circuit, invented in the late 1950s, has permitted an ever-increasing amount of information to be processed or stored on a single microchip. This is what has driven the information revolution. Now, between 1960s and 1970s, the number of components on a chip doubled each year from one in 1960 to 1,000 in 1970s. Since the number of components have doubled every year and a half, reaching 1 million in 1990 and 100 billion in 1992. Today's average consumers wear more computing power than their wrists had then. Today's average consumers wear more computing power on their wrist than existed in the entire world before 1961. Now, manage your own morale. Now, somehow over the years we have been led to believe that higher management is accountable for employee morale. Nobody even seems to question this notion anymore. If attitudes go sour, the boss gets blamed. If the employee employees are mentally down and out, the company is expected to provide emotional handholding until its people are happy again. Now we have got to get past a lot of this nonsense because nobody is well served by this line of reasoning. Sure, the way the place is being run and the way people get treated are factors employees must reckon with. The way place is being run and the way people get treated are factors employees must reckon with. But let's give the average individual a lot more credit for being able to manage his or her own morale. If we attribute more emotional self-sufficiency to people, if we expect ourselves to stand out personally responsible for our attitudes, we all much better off. Saddling someone else with the job of keeping you contented and upbeat at work is a slick move, and it may even seem justified if we warp our logic a little bit. After all, organizations actually do treat people sometimes unfairly at times, and some managers are jerks, to be honest. But overall, employees don't seem to deserve any higher marks of how they treat employers. And since the world at large display no concept of fairness in at a larger picture, there is no concept at display, no concept of fairness in the way it deals with organizations. Sometimes companies are forced into corners. Higher management can end up having to do things that are hard for people to accept. This doesn't mean that whoever is in charge should carry a burden of responsibility to pump you back and give you a positive attitude. If you put someone else in charge of your morale, you disempower yourself. If you wait around for higher management to heal your wounded spirit, you'll end up hurting longer than necessary. You're far better off to assign yourself personal responsibility for attitude control. Don't let morale drain away precious energy, destroy your self-confidence, and damage your attractiveness as a job candidate. Organizations want employees who can cope up with change without breaking stride. So take charge of your moods, act upbeat, and you start to feel better. Show resilience, bounce back on your own rather than allowing yourself to wallow in negative emotions and such as anger and depression and griefs. Sure, grieving over personal losses is natural. Sometimes it's a necessary part of the recovery process. But some people adopt it as a lifestyle, become martyrs, and lick their wound for the rest of their life and career. Frankly, giving in to the grief has limited healing power, and you need to get beyond it. Rapid organizational change guarantees that almost everybody is going to carry some battle scars. Rapid organizational changes guarantees that almost everybody is going to carry some battle scars in the years to come. You can be a bit bitter about how your career gets affected, or you can demonstrate your ability to take a punch. You can carry a grudge to your grave, or you can get over it. What's the best for your career? Depersonalize the situation. Accept it as the luck of the draw, and harbor no resentment toward higher management. Ideally, you'll accept change as an exercise that, though sometimes painful, helps you build more emotional muscle. If a cat spoke, it would say things like, "Hey, I don't see the problem here." Computer power is now 8,000 times less expensive than it was 30 years ago. And Randall Tobias, a former vice chairman of AT&T, offers this comparison to explain the astounding rate of advancement in computerizations. If we had This is what John Naisbitt from Global Paradox has to say. If we had similar progress in automotive technology, today you could buy a Lexus for about $2. It would travel at the speed of sound and go about 600 miles on a thermal gas. If we had the similar progress in automotive technology today, the type of advancement and progress it's been in computing age, that we are being able to get any computing item for like a couple $1,000. But if that similar progress would have been in automotive technology today, you could buy a Lexus for about $2 and it could travel at the speed of sound and go about 600 miles on a thermal gas. Now, this point is what I'm going to talk about is my personal favorite, which is practice Kaizen. And now Kaizen is a Japanese word. It was the first time when I heard about it was from my father, who still works for a German company who still makes bearings for different industrial purposes, for automation, for automotive industries, and a lot of different equipments. But the best thing I have been the best terms and any Japanese term that I have come across in my entire life is Kaizen. And practicing Kaizen, which we are going to talk about next. Now, a strong organization is the best position to protect your career. If it's financially successful, your paycheck is more secure. If it keeps getting better and better in a way it does business, your future usually gets brighter. But the organization can't improve unless its people do. Continuous improvement is what is meant by Kaizen, and this is what has been my life goal up till now, being in Kaizen, which means being in continuous improvement. I have been continuously improving over the time, and the product we are seeing right now is the effect of continuous improvement, is the effect of Kaizen. Now, continuous improvement, the Japanese call it Kaizen, offers some of the best insurance for both your career and the organization. Kaizen, it is pronounced as, so the actual spelling, the way it's spelled is Kaizen. I'm not sure if you guys have ever come across this term, but I was very fortunate to come across this term in my very early childhood when my father used to talk about it literally every day. He used to be such a believer in Kaizen, which has imparted this quality in me since my childhood. Being in Kaizen, being continuously, being in a process which is always continuously improving. In fact, if you have heard about 5S, which also deals with similar concept, but it's if you have 5S, if you are lean, we might have heard about Six Sigma practice, being lean, being agile, Kaizen, and 5S. These are qualities that this Japanese have been working on, have been practicing and bringing into their lives and into their organization. But right now we are talking about Kaizen, Kaizen, which means a continuous improvement. The Japanese call it Kaizen and offers some of the best insurance for both of your career and the organization. Now, Kaizen is the relentless quest for better way, for higher quality craftsmanship. If you think of it as the daily pursuit of perfection, people say they are perfectionists and they don't know about Kaizen, then trust me, they are just giving bullshit to you. But think of it as the daily pursuit of perfection, that is Kaizen, which is continuous improvement, a Japanese term, Kaizen. Now, Kaizen keeps you reaching, stretching to outdo yesterday. The continuous improvement may come bit by bit, but enough of the small incremental gains will eventually add up to valuable competitive advantage. Also, if every employee constantly keeps an eye out for improvements, major innovations are more likely to occur. The spirit of Kaizen can trigger dramatic breakthroughs. Without Kaizen, you and your employer will gradually lose ground. Eventually, you'll both be out of business because the competition never stands still. Your income would be stable, there would be job security, but the competition is never stable. The competition never stands still. Tom Peters puts it in this way: good quality is a stupid idea. The only thing that counts in our quality getting better at a more rapid rate than your principal competitors. It's real simple. Sorry. If we are not getting more, better, faster, and they are getting more, better, faster, and we are getting less better or more worse, nobody can afford to rest on reputations anymore. Nobody can afford to rest on a computation solely anymore. Circumstances change too quickly. Competition gets tougher and more global all the time. What we consider good today is seen as a so-so by tomorrow. Every single employee should assume personal responsibility for upgrading his or her performance. Your productivity, response time, quality, cost, control, and customer service should all show steady gains, and your skills should be in the state of constant renewal. Now, granted, this drive towards an ever-improving performance doesn't guarantee job security, raises, or promotions. You can still be a victim of circumstances, even in strong a financially successful organization. But if you have passionately practiced Kaizen, you have built your you have built your competency level. Your track record will help sell you, and so you'll be at least find it easier to resume your career in another setting because you have been exposed to different roles. You have been loyal to so many companies. You have been loyal to yourself. You have committed to yourself and continuous improvements that you have worked on your continuous learnings. You have practiced Kaizen and you have did everything. So this will at least all these qualities would at least help you and make you find it easier to resume your career in another setting, whether it be any role or any skill that you have practiced. It would be very easy because if you passionately practice Kaizen, you have built your competency level, and your track record will help you sell you even more than the next competitor. So you'll at least find it easier to resume your career in another setting. Now, the first time I walked into a trophy shop, I looked around and I thought myself, this guy is good. It's been said by Fred Wolf, because everybody likes trophy, and if you're surrounded around trophies, and if you're surrounded about things which people think about as if it's a way of reward, then you will always find that, oh, that guy's is good. And in 1991, well, I'll put this differently. The first time I walked into a trophy shop, I looked around and I thought to myself that this guy is good, because the way we perceive, the way we have a perspective towards people having trophies, it feels like this person has so many achievements, has so many awards, has so many recognition. But if you think about a person who owns a trophy shop, would you think like this guy is a good, or this guy is and has a lot of achievement. Guys, trophies are just a symbolic representation of your achievements given by somebody else. But if you think in a way that if the trophy shop guy has so many trophies, it's just useless, because trophies are just a way to boost your ego and keep performing that way. But if you don't look at trophies like that, then definitely you wouldn't be very happy about the trophy guy, because I can have like 100 trophies over here to show you, and I can be a complete jerk at the same time, or an incompetent guy. But if you practice Kaizen, if you practice whatever I mentioned in this whole discourse, then you will not be perceived good, you will be actually be good as a person and as a performer. Now, in 1991, nearly 1 out of 3 American workers have been with their employer for less than a year, and almost 2 out of 3 for less than 5 years. The United States contingent workforce, consisting of roughly 45,000, 100,000 temporary self-employed part-timers and consultants, has grown 57% since 1980s. Now, going, if not yet gone, are the 9-to-5 workdays lifetime jobs. Predictable hierarchy relationships, corporate culture security blankets, and for a large workplace itself, replaced by cybernetics and workspace. Constant training and retraining, job hopping, and even career hopping will become the norm, and is becoming the norm, and will continue to become the norm. Constant training, retraining, job hopping, and even career hopping will become the norm, which is rightly said by Mary O'Hara and the Robert Johnson, which were recognized for their global work for bridging distance and culture and time. Now, the other biggest quality, or the biggest ground rule for any job success would be a fixture, not a finger pointer. Be a fixture and not a finger pointer, like he did that and he did that. If you can fix it, forget it. If you cannot fix it, don't finger point it. Now, problems are natural offsprings of change, so you'll see plenty of them in the years to come. Build a name for yourself as a problem solver, and you'll be a valuable person to have around. Organizations need people who can take care of problems and not merely point them out. Too many employees get this confused. They seem to think complaining in a constructive act. Now, they are keen on identifying all the problems, and often in an accusing, blaming fashion, but contribute little towards improving little things. Their attitude is, upper management is supposed to make it all work. We'll sit back and watch them struggle and second guess their solutions. As employees, in fact, as an entire society, we have gotten unbelievably good at the blame game. We are experts at dodging personal responsibility and using our energy to criticize and complain instead. This carries a terrific cost. So long as we search beyond ourselves for solutions, we disempower ourselves. You might say that even as we commit the crime and blame somebody else, we will also become the victim. Even when we find someone else to blame for our circumstances, we win a hollow victory. It may feel good and for the moment to get ourselves off the hook, but it perpetuates the problem. Finger pointing does not position us to do our part that only we can do towards workable solutions. We have come to expect too much of our institutions and too little of ourselves as individuals. In fact, in the long haul, it simply doesn't work. The organization's values grows out of individual employees' values. The organization's results are merely the accumulations of singular people's results. So instead of being a finger pointer, rather than trying to single out somebody to blame, assume ownership of problems, let the solution start with you. you'll increase your odds of career success. We have only one person to blame, and that's each other, which means ourselves. Rightly said by Barry Back. Look at the roster of the 100 largest US companies at the beginning of the 1900s. You'll find that only 16 are still in existence. Then consider Fortune magazine's first list, published in 1956, of America's 500 biggest companies. Only 29 out of the 100 firms topping that first Fortune 500 could still be found in the top 100 by 1992. Not after that. Now, during the decade of 1980s, a total of 230 companies, 46% disappeared from the Fortune 500. Now, obviously, size does not guarantee continued success, neither does a good reputation. Now, alter your expectations. And this would be the last of all the 13 ground rules for job success in the information age, is to alter your expectations. Organizations cannot stop the world from changing. The best they can do is to adapt. The smart ones change before they have to, and the lucky ones manage to scramble and adjust when push comes to shore. The rest are losers, and they become history. As organizations maneuver in an effort to cope up with rapid change, some careers always get caught in the cracks. It's unfortunate but unavoidable. Some employees get pinched, and naturally people cry foul. They accuse top management of breaking the psychological contract, the change and the rules, but it's more accurate to say that the organization is merely responding to the rule change called by the world. The irony is that the executives in no-win situation, and if they're smart, they change early, like they should, and they are described as uncaring and overreactive. If they drag around and don't change until the world forces the issue, they are considered inept as well as cruel. Part of the problem lies in the entitlement mindset that has crept into our thinking over the past several decades. People came to believe that because of all the years of work they put in, the organization owed them continued employment. Sticking with an outfit, loosely referred to as a loyalty, was supposed to entitle a person to job security. Employees learned to expect regular pay increases and the periodic promotions. Some folks even went so far as to presume they had a right to expect their employers to keep them happy and provide high job satisfaction. The burden of responsibility for people's careers keeps shifting further and further away from employees and more onto the backs of employers. Both the parties brought into the system, and it has been bad for all concerned. Too often employees rested on their past achievements instead of requiring themselves to constantly upgrade their skills. They counted on their work history to qualify them for promising career future. They became too dependent on their employers, expecting protective employment policies to shield them from the raw forces of change and going on around the globe. Now, obviously, it didn't work. High velocity change has eliminated the need for many jobs. Because now, new technology and global competition, organizations are being reshaped and work is being done differently. The marketplace is merciless, and it puts definite limits on how generous and productive an organization can be with its people. This means you should reframe your relationship with the organization just as it must reframe its relationship with the customers and competitors. Now, don't fall into the trap of assuming that you are automatically entitled to pay increase, promotions, or even your job. Even if you perform well, circumstances will keep you changing. And the best thing you can do is constantly upgrade your skills, stay flexible, and Never con yourself into thinking that your employer is supposed to protect your future. The era of entitlement is ending. Instead of relying on your rights, take personal responsibility for your career, put your faith in the future and in yourself, embrace the change, develop the work habits you need for the job success in the information age. And it is the question of whether we are going to go forward into the future or pass in the black. Or in the past to the back. So these were 13 ground rules for job success in this rapidly changing, for a radically changing world in the information age. I'll quickly give you my final 13 rule list, which you can note down and use those rules in your day-to-day life in this radically changing world. Now, become a quick change artist, commit fully to your job, speed up, accept ambiguity and uncertainty, behave like you are in a business for yourself, stay in school, hold yourself accountable for outcomes, add value, see yourself as a service center, manage your own morale, practice Kaizen, and be a fixer and not a finger pointer, and at the end, alter your expectations. Thank you for joining with me today in this power hour of learning how new work habits for a new radically changing world, and 13 ground rules for the job success in the information age. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for sticking around, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.